So moving on to the first topic. So obviously a boxer card took place at Sellers Park on Saturday. Reactpor versus Billiam Smith and some undercard. Yeah, we'll get on to what I think about it in a bit, but I'll hand you over to Andy as ever to cherry pick some undercard and take us through the card. Over to you, Andy.
Right, okay. We'll go straight in with it. We'll go straight in with Billiam Smith, Richard Reactpor, Cole. Before we do that, let's talk about where it was, where it took place. Sellers Park, Crystal Palace. Now, I'm only a fan of stadium events when the stadium's rocking, because if it's not, and there's empty spaces around the venue, it falls flat.
Well, Andy, Billiam
I'll come to you, Aaron.
Billiam and Forest would never play at home, then, would they?
That's not keeping it family friendly.
Yeah. I think your game is. I think you're getting us mixed up with Notts County, mate. But I'll let you off on that one.
I'm not Notts Forest. I'm not. Anyway, carry on with the box.
Yeah, you are, mate. And it's not Notts Forest, as you well know. But let's leave it there because this could go on for hours. I was a little bit disappointed with the layout. It didn't really make sense. The ring was in the position it was in. They didn't have enough ground seats for me. Pitch seats. I don't know. I just thought it fell flat. I thought they were having it at a stadium for the sake of it. It didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Harrison, what did you feel about it? What did you think of the atmosphere that was going on?
Yeah, it was terrible. Simply terrible. I just, like you said it there perfectly. Over the last 5 or 6 years, the big stadium fights that you can put to mind, the likes of Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, when they've had their big nights at Wembley. And when they do it like that, they get it spot on because it's got the fireworks, it's got the fiasco, there's 90,000 people there. This show should have been at the O2 or at Wembley Arena or somewhere like that because it felt like something out of Phoenix Nights to me. It was stupid. The ring was in the middle of nowhere. They were only using half of one stand. To me, it was just a real big mess of a show. The boxing itself, in and out, it was okay at times, but for me, I just didn't enjoy watching it. It didn't feel like a big fight night to me.
Jack, I don't know what's going on with your sound, Jack, but it's humming, mate. While I've got you, Harry.
That's because I had the thing on. That better?
Yeah, that's better, mate.
Yeah.
While I've got you, Harris.
I had to put a fire on because it's been raining up here and I was drying my dog off.
All right, dude. Okay. While I've got you, Harrison, reaction to Billiam Smith against Reactpor. We all gave our opinions last Thursday. Most of us thought Reactpor was going to be good enough for the win.
That's right, Andy.
What went wrong?
We're having a shocker, aren't we, on predictions?
We are terrible, mate. Yeah. Well, absolutely dreadful.
Well, steady on, folks. One of us managed, and I haven't been on before. One of us did manage to predict Chris Billiam Smith here. I seen the fight playing out very similar to how it did. I think the big thing for a lot of people was how underwhelming Richard Reactpor was off the bat. A lot of people thought that he would be much more aggressive and into his status, that he could apply much more pressure to Chris Billiam Smith than he did. Part of that was him being disappointing, but then part of it you do have to, again, respect that Chris Billiam Smith just boxed very well, technical, true to himself. It's the way we know Chris Billiam Smith to fight. I don't know. It was one of those. It wasn't an interesting fight at all. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I've watched it back as it was a classic. I just haven't enjoyed that company of the cruiserweight division in Britain recently. Richard Reactpor, interesting to see what he does now. Is he going to get another shot at cruiserweight? Probably not. He's had to wait a long time just to get this one. So he's probably going to go up to Bridgerweight and fight Lawrence Okoli in what would be the worst fight of all time to watch. But yeah, I was disappointed with Richard Reactpor far more than I was impressed with Chris Billiam Smith, who just did what he had to do to win.
Darren, you quite often see fighters when they get this massive homecoming, they get a new lease of life. They're indestructible. I don't understand Richard Reactpor. he was easily the best fighter in the first fight they had. That was 5 years ago. And I asked last week, who's improved the most? Quite clearly, Chris Billiam Smith has.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest with you, I actually tweeted during the fight. I thought Richard Riakporhe would win the fight as well. I honestly don't know what his game plan was. He went in the ring. He looked lost. He looked like he didn't even have a plan A. I just don't know. I just don't know what his game plan was. He looked like he wasn't interested at times. Landed a few little decent shots here and there, but he was smothering. He was holding. I mean, for me, Chris Billiam Smith is a fighter that can also make you look bad. You know, I will give Chris Billiam Smith that. He can make fighters look bad, but like, it was an absolute stinker of a fight, and Richard Riakporhe was just non-existent in it. I'm lost for words for what his game plan was. There wasn't even a plan A for me, and he should really be disappointed with himself, because, you know, he bigged himself up saying he was going to win the fight and he was going to do this and going to do that and go on to bigger things, but he was found out, to be honest with you. He was lost for a game plan.
Well, he fooled me, Darren. I thought he was going to have the punch power to dismantle Chris Billiam Smith. Chris Billiam Smith, though, I mean, let's have it right, lads. Is an absolute warrior that's clearly got powers of steel. I think he can hang when it comes to lasting 12 rounds. I think he can hang with any cruiserweight.
No.
It's whether he can get around the skill of other fighters. Can he disrupt other fighters in the way that he did Riakporhe when it comes to the really big boys in the division? Carl, I'll come to you, mate.
His chin's granite, though. He's got a real good chin.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
mate.
Let's not pretend he can be Opsire. Let's not.
I'm not saying that, but his chin definitely has stood the test of time against a lot of them now.
He's absolutely bang average. And I keep saying it. He got in with a Riakporhe. He didn't even want to throw his right arm.
No, I agree. He didn't throw a lot, but when Richard Riakporhe did very rarely in the fight land, he took them well. Chris Billiam Smith, he did take them well.
I was very underwhelmed with Riakporhe.
So since the fight
I don't know where he goes from here, if I'm honest with you. Andy's waxed lyrical about him for years about being the best cruiserweight. Well, definitely not on that performance. He wouldn't even put him in the top 5.
I have.
So I don't know. Again, I think Billiam Smith's Christmas has come.
Yeah, he's very underwhelming.
I think his Christmas has come again. I think Riakporhe is all there for him, wasn't it? Homecoming at Sellers Park on the was it the 80th centenary or something like that? 40th? I don't know, because they're only a small club. But it was all there for him. It was all there for him, and he couldn't motivate himself. He looked very underprepared from round 1 for me.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah.
Cole, you've got at some point to start to give Chris Billiam Smith some credit.
Not really.
For his
Not
style
really.
of fighting, the fact that he disrupts other fighters' rhythm, the fact that he's able to. He's durable. He's got a great chin. He's got a fantastic engine. I mean, the thing is, he's very capable of putting any fighter out of the rhythm. It's whether he can do that for 12 rounds against the best. And we'll find that out, because he will get the upper tier fight at some point.
It's so limited. It's untrue. It would be an absolute mismatch if he jumped to a Jai upper tire. Absolute mismatch. So let's not start painting him as a will.
No, it won't be a miss.
It would.
Yeah, but to be fair, people are forgetting the Masternak fight. Masternak was dominating Chris Billiam Smith.
About 85 years old.
He was, yeah, I agree, yeah. So was it just a case of Billiam Smith made Riakporhe look bad? But for me, Riakporhe let himself down badly, whereas we're hyping Chris Billiam Smith a little bit more, but we have got to think about fights like the Masternak. The Masternak fight, he was exposed a little bit in that fight, and he got away with it, really, in that fight.
He's very lucky. He's in an absolute dog shite of a division. it's the worst division in British boxing for me. In world boxing, it's an awful division.
Mm.
So
Opatari Street's ahead for me.
Oh yeah.
So sorry if I'm not doing a rain down and winning, but I'll keep my powder dry on him because I think he's going to get sparked out first time he jumps in.
I don't think we'll ever see the Opataya fight.
You know,
and the reason is because I think he'll lose before he gets there, because I think there's somebody else who was on that card that will take the world title off him.
Go on.
I believe Jack Massey will take the world title off him. And I believe Boxer have always planned it like that. I believe they've given him the fights they do. And I believe eventually, and it might not be the next fight. It might be 2 or 3 down the line. But I believe Massey will take the world title off him. I'm not saying Massey will beat Opataya, by the way, because he won't. But I think he'll be the one that ends up fighting Opataya.
With all due respect to Jack Master, the fact that you think he can beat CBS tells you the level you think CBS is at.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying that, but I think neither of them are world class, but I think Massey potentially could be world level, not world class. Whereas I'm not. CBS for me has only ever been fringe world level, and as I think Carl said earlier, it's a very weak division worldwide. It's a very weak division, with the exception of Opataya, who I actually think, probably would do okay in any era.
Yeah, and Zordo as well. Zordo's not bad. And if they go down that route,
Zordo's not bad. I'll give you that.
If they make that fight next for Billiam Smith, that'll be where you really find out how good he can be, or if that is just a level above. And I think that's probably the route.
If they make that fight for Billiam Smith next, we might not even get the Massey Billiam Smith fight, because I don't know if he beats Zerdo.
I think Zerdo would be way too good for him.
Yeah, I'd actually like to see Zerdo and Opataya come to that.
Stylistically, though, Jack Massey and Chris Billiam Smith are going to be great to watch.
No, God,
no, not particularly, but I still think
it's going to be.
Chris Billiam.
It's going to be a fight of attrition, isn't it? It's going to be who lasts. It's going to be who lasts longest, who's got the best chin, who's got the better engine. It's bound to go 12 rounds because neither of them are going to get knocked out.
Well, that'll be Chris Billiam. Yeah, that'll be Chris Billiam Smith triple fight on the trot, where it's been an absolute stinker because he's had a Coley react, and then he'll have Massey.
The thing is though, that's his style to a point, Darren. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. He makes it difficult. That's what he does. He makes it difficult. And if you're not capable as a fighter of thinking outside your little box and coming up with something that's gonna take him out of that rhythm, then he's capable of doing that to most fighters.
He's going to get his head absolutely punched off by a world-class operator, because all he does is come forward, take shots with his face, and let's not be pretending it's difficult to knock out his rhythm. He's beating with bang average fighters. Jai Opataya would absolutely pling his head around for 12 rounds. Let's not tell me bullshit rhythm talk that he talks. He comes forward.
I don't disagree with you that Jai Opataya beats him. I don't disagree with you. He's the best in the division by a country mile. I completely agree. All I'm saying to you is, you've already said it yourself. It's not the best division in the world. And apart from Jai Opataya, he's capable of beating anybody else because of the style he has.
I don't know, Zerdo
possibly. But even it,
I would still say
maybe Jack, maybe, but that's one I'd have a question mark against.
Well, yeah, because we haven't really seen Zerdo.
I think,
yeah,
because he's not a slick fighter, because he's not got great movement and the best jab in the world, and he's not got knockout reels. I think it's easy to knock him. It's easy to say he's shit. It's easy to say that he gets absolutely battered by anybody else that's with any skill. It's easy to say that because of his style. His style's not great. You've got to give him credit for the attributes he's got. because he's beat everyone that's been put in front of him. Simple as that.
Well, if you look at it really as well,
That's all I can really say.
We all know that Lawrence Okoli is an ugly fighter to watch, but obviously he done what he done last time in his Bridgerweight world title fight. But Chris Billiam Smith made Lawrence Okoli look even worse than what he is. He's now made Richard Riakporhe look terrible. Richard Riakporhe isn't really a fighter that comes and holds the way he was. Is that Chris Billiam Smith making them look that way? That's what you've got to ask yourself.
That's my point, Darren.
He's making every fighter look. Yeah, he's making every fighter look terrible, like ugly to watch. But is it, like you say, is that Billiam Smith?
That's my point.
Making, yeah.
It's a valid point as well.
Yeah, it is.
It
is, and it's going to take somebody of the highest caliber to not fall into that trap.